Okay, today our speaker lives by the motto, by these words from the song Natasha Bedingfield, live your life with arms wide open. Today is where your book begins, the rest is still unwritten. But she also practices the Rotary motto, service above self. Jennifer Devine-Hatch has spoken to this club in 2005 and 2009, and what makes her story different is that Jennifer was born with cystic fibrosis, a genetic disease that affects the lungs, but as she gets older, also affects other organs in her body. The number of surgeries she's had over her life has exceeded 60, even more than that. Her trips in and out of hospitals, even more in number, and yet following her on Facebook, reading about her setbacks that occasionally show up unannounced, Jennifer keeps a positive mental attitude. Followers are always sending her prayers and thoughts, and yet she wants to help young people with chronic diseases such as CF. Jennifer Devine-Hatch is a motivational speaker and author of the children's book Scardust, now in its second printing. The book was written to help people cope with the scars, emotional and physical scars that life can leave. Jennifer has been using her book to create Scardust Foundation that will provide comfort, luxuries for patients and their families who are in hospitals for prolonged periods of time. So please welcome Jennifer Devine-Hatch.
Thank you. I appreciate being here. First of all, I just want to take the acknowledgement of I'm grateful to be here because, as we know from day to day with me, you're not really sure if I'm going to show up, if I may be checking into the hospital, or where exactly I'm going to be. But today I was happy enough to come here, so that's great. Awesome. I have republished my book. I brought it out about 2 weeks before Christmas, hoping I could get the Christmas rush. Didn't quite get where I wanted to be, but I'm going to get there. So I now have kind of reinvented, so to speak, my concept and what I'm doing. And I kind of had to do that. That wasn't exactly the choice that I wanted. But I had a rough couple of years this last few years. Actually, the last about 6 years have been extremely rough for me. The worst year being 2011, unfortunately, and fortunately, I guess you could say. 2011, I spent over 290 days in the hospital, here and in Boise. And it was pretty scary, I'm not going to lie. There was definitely a moment there where I didn't know that my life would still be continuing on. But I got to Boise. They didn't expect me to live through the night, didn't expect me to live through this day anyways. And 28 days later, I walked out of the hospital. I was, unfortunately, 94 pounds, so I was really, really skinny. I've gained that back since, as you can see. I was on oxygen 24/7. When I made it that night, through the, I was ambulanced actually to Boise. And when I made it, I had 9% lung function. At the time that I arrived at the hospital. In fact, I even blew a 7%, but they took the higher one just for my benefit. And that's pretty much, as you can imagine, on a scale of 100, not so good. Not in my best favor for sure. And like I said, I really did kind of think the game might be over at that point. But then again, all of you who know me know that I'm a complete spitfire, and that just doesn't work for me. So that's when I really buckled down and decided that first I had to decide, do I want to live and do I want to fight this? It's exhausting. It's painful. There's a lot of issues that I have to deal with that most people would never even dream of dealing with. Post-traumatic stress is kind of a huge deal for me now that I'm getting older, but in the medical sense of having so many surgeries. And unfortunately, that number has, quadrupled probably from 60s. Hundreds of surgeries and hospitalizations. Like I said, I spent a lot of time in the hospital, but it gave me a lot of time to think about what it's like to be in the hospital, what I wish I had, what I wish my family could have, what I wish people would do for people that are in the hospital for prolonged periods of times. And that's where my biggest inspiration came to, okay, I got to take this book and I've got to make it happen. However, I am considered by all standards in end-stage lung disease, so I have to be a little bit careful with my energy. I'm extremely proud to say that it's really nothing more of than a miracle. It's not really medically explainable exactly how, but in a year and a half, I've managed to get my pulmonary functions to 43%, which is actually, in a lot of cases, more success than they're having even in using brand new cystic fibrosis drugs. I attribute, of course, to prayer and my spunkiness and all the amazing support team that I have. which this community has been from day one. Obviously, I have to point out Dr. Workman has contributed much to my scars in a positive way. And so, he's seen me at my absolute most worst moment of my entire life. And he's also here to see me bounced back with a smile on my face and able to do this without being on oxygen 24/7, which I kicked that habit about 6 months ago, I'm proud to say. So I still get sick. I get run down really, really quick. I pretty much anybody sneezes, I'll get what you have. But I just can't stop. I was not meant to die at that moment, and I knew it. And I knew that meant I was meant to do this. I have to make change. And I do believe that one person can change the world. Why can't I be that person? And so I'm trying, but I'm realizing it's very humbling to realize that I can't do it by myself. I want to, I wish to, my mind wants to go Mach 10. My body says, don't even get up. So I need help. And that's where I'm hoping the community and people can draw together and help me to get Scardust off the ground. What I want to do, it is a children's book. Like I said, I have a Facebook page which we can give you the information. I'm doing a blog. I'm called Girl with Scars. I kind of took the whole scars theme. It just seemed to fit, and nobody had really, that I am aware of, has used that. I've developed, there's many directions I want to go with it, but one of the things that's most important to me that I've developed is a module for medical professionals in speaking and patient perspective. And I'm really excited to kind of launch that at some point. So if any of you have connections, maybe, I am available to speak to physicians and medical professionals. So that's a huge thing I want to do. And I do want to get involved in this hospital locally because this is where I spend a lot of my time. These people are my family. I've known them since I was a child, in and out, and they all, I don't know if they want to know my name sometimes, but they all know my name in my case. But it's also a positive thing, too. That's what gets recognition. So I love sharing my story with people for the fact that I want to, obviously motivate people for change. Excuse me. Excuse me. Another thing, excuse me, that I'd like to do as well is start integrating younger people into this equation as well. And that would be, there's a lot of bullying, there's a lot of problems going on in the high schools, there are a lot of chronically ill patients. I mean, there's so much chronic illness now that this is an issue that we can deal with at all ages. And I would like to start a Scardust project in the high schools, which would actually approach these types of things, but in a different perspective as scars. And realizing maybe that one person might get it when you put it in terms of a scar, instead of just being, saying rude things and hurting people's feelings. And I'm kind of one of those speakers that likes to sucker punch the emotion, because when people leave from my speaking, I want them to never forget a line somewhere in my speech that I said, because I think that is what motivates change. And like I said, I can't do it on my own. I'm asking for any help that anybody will give. In getting exposure, go to the Facebook, get people in your contacts to like the book, first of all. The more attention we get, the more help we're going to have from people. So that is my dream. I want to make this happen. Again, like I said, I can't do it on my own. I want to live. I'm really liking this whole living thing. So I want to continue that. But I know that I have to be extremely cautious in my energy levels and how much I do and how much I can do. So I've got some amazing people on my behalf. Bobby at the Chamber, Melissa Earl is also with Allstate. She's been an amazing driving support. These two ladies said to me this year, what is your dream? What's the last, what's your dying wish, I guess you could say. And mine was to get Scardust out there. And I remember Bobby specifically saying that that's what we're doing, and Melissa as well. So these guys have been amazing. Mike Pohonk has been a huge contributor to the beginning of Scardust in 2005. And I thank him every day for that. And of course, all of you that know me here have been involved in some manner in helping me out, and I do appreciate that. I hope that everybody can finally start to recognize Scardust just by itself, or the name, or however you want to, but we have a lot of work to do. But social media thank God for social media right now. Because I found that that's a way that I can be, because I am still, even though I'm doing really well, I am still in the hospital, and I'm in there for, a minimum of a week to 2 weeks or more at a time. So I figured, what can I do where, I could still get my business going, but, not exhaust myself, because I kind of do need to rest when I'm in there, but we all know that doesn't happen in a hospital. So I figured, well, if I can have a laptop and I can have social media, then I can do this. And so that's where my role is mostly going to be, is through social media and, getting on my blog and writing to, getting people involved in the story, getting them to follow the story, and then bringing all of this out to the light so that we can help people that need it. Another reason I took over, the publishing for mine is I wanted to support local economy. I wanted to print my books locally because I do support small businesses and local. I'm trying to make it myself, so I know. And I want to keep it local. That's the way I want it. I want it to start that way, and if it blows up into international, fantastic, but there's no reason it can't come with a stamp of Twin Falls, Idaho on it. So, I don't need to move up to bigger, better places. It's right here. This is my bigger, better places, and it will be in any manner that you guys can help provide me with. I also feel that one of the things that's the most understated in a lot of this is the acknowledgement of chronic illness in this community. There's not a tremendous amount of support. There is a massive amount of support for cancer patients, which they need. Don't get me wrong, my brother had cancer, my dad had cancer. We need that. But I'm hoping I can kind of drive maybe a little bit of influence into that in providing those comfort luxuries, not just for the cancer patients, but for chronic illness patients. Alternative therapies, massage, music therapy, things like that are really actually very cheap when you look at it. And there's so many people that are willing to donate time, money, services, and I won't accept that excuse from anybody that, well, we don't have a budget for that, or no, we can't do that. Because if you tell me how you can't do it, I'll figure out a way to tell you how I will. And I am more than happy to work on that as much as I humanly possibly can with my health situation. And I talk to a lot of, kids and younger kids, and a lot of times all they need is validation, and I think that goes across the board for every age. In our professions, in our personal lives, we just want somebody to validate, and then we can move on. And a lot of times with children and the way they're acting out nowadays and dealing with these massive issues at earlier ages, it's just simply because nobody's validating that. It's an easy thing. It's a verbal thing that you say, I validate your pain, and a lot of times that's all they need to move on. And I want people to see that it is that simple. It's very complex when you look at it all together. I realize that. And it scares a lot of the people at the hospital about my life because it is so complex. But, it's meant to be that way, and I'm meant to be this way. And I'm very educated about medicine. I make myself educated. I make myself an empowered patient. I would love to see getting a patient empowerment campaign going through the hospital. To motivate people to take control of your health. You have a choice. A lot of people just don't know they have that choice, or they don't know how far that choice can go. I have done my own IV administration since I was 15 years old. I poked myself with the needle in the chest with the portacath. I did everything myself. I put in my own NG tubes for nasogastric tube in the stomach. I just wanted to know everything. I do have some formal education. I didn't get where I wanted to be. I was in a nursing program, had to drop out. But I've been an EMT. I've been a CNA, a telemetry technician. I've been around medicine, obviously. When you, are there for so long, you kind of learn a whole lot about it. Every aspect. I kind of joke. I say I'm kind of like an every doctor. I'm one of those doctors that could probably fake it really good if I had to, but would never do it. But that's an empowerment to me, and that's an empowerment to other people. I thought going and seeing other people, with CF up in Boise, they have a CF clinic. That's kind of where I'm my mothership at the moment. Twin is kind of if I can't make it to Boise at this moment with critical issues. If they're small, I'm here. Excuse me. But one of their main things is just learning the routine and how important it is to keep my routine going for my own mental health. Because a lot of times when you go in the hospital and all of a sudden they rip all this from you, it's very humiliating in some manners, and it's very depressing in a lot of manners. Because I do all my own care. I don't want that taken away from me necessarily. If I want something done, I'll tell you. If I'd rather you do it because I'm too tired, sure. But I'm hearing all these medical professionals say, well, I've never, most people don't do their own stuff at home. They don't do their own IVs. They don't do any of that. And I'm thinking, why? why? If you have a chronic illness, or let's put it the way it really is, a terminal illness that is chronic and extremely, on the edge, considered end-stage lung disease, even at 43%. Why are we not taking control of that? Because that's the only way I'm going to survive, is if you empower me with the tools and the knowledge and the motivation, the emotional support to make myself healthy. That's the only way we're going to save anybody at this point. Once you get to my complicated issues, as we know, medicine becomes, meaning pharmaceutical type medicine, becomes a big, I'm allergic to everything. I react to everything differently than anybody would like me to. It's kind of a hard game. But I'm seeing more and more in my lifetime as I move along with this disease that it's going to progress how it's going to progress. I do obviously have some control over that because I just made the comeback of a lifetime. Second time I've done that. But, and it also, I would hope, would inspire people. I mean, like I said, I was not supposed to live through that night, but I did. And then it was, well, I don't know if she's going to come out of the hospital ever. Well, I did. I don't know if she's, ever going to be out without oxygen everywhere. Well, I am. And so there's no limits. I don't put limits on myself anymore. I enjoy challenging. I love a challenge. I love when people tell me I can't. I'll not only do what you said, I'll double you on it. And it's just a great motivation for me. It's a fire that burns. And it's pretty raging at the moment because I'm so emotionally involved in what's going on in patients and patients' families and feeling so alone. You may have somebody sitting there with you all the time, but do you feel alone? And that's a huge, huge thing. And I don't know if any of us are ready to tackle the emotional side of medicine in that manner. But you know what? I'm going to try, and I'm going to do what I can to get it out there and educate people about what I think of as medically induced PTSD, which is, I have flashbacks and nightmares of surgeries I could feel in when they wouldn't give me more medication, and I remember feeling things, or I was held down, and most people don't think of it in perspective of that those are things that we have to deal with, is those fears and things, and they're hard to bury. And I'm kind of one of those people on the emotional side of stuff, like I don't want the pills, I want the skills. So teach me how to cope with it. Teach me how to, be able to function on a daily basis and still have good mental clarity and, still be able to feel good enough to get up and do something. And I'm making a lot of progress on that. And I've noticed a lot of it is staying at home for 5-6 days in a row, not getting out of my pajamas, not doing my hair, not putting anything into myself is very detrimental to me. I've been blessed enough to be given an office space in Melissa Earle's Allstate office. So I have I call it my Zen Space. And that's where I will do a lot of my work because it gets me up and out of bed. Even if I want to just go there in my pajamas, and you might see that. I don't know. But, hey, I'm there. I'm doing it. I can get on the Internet, and I can make things happen. And if I'm in the hospital, again, I can be on the Internet. I can be on Facebook promoting myself. I'm just realizing it's, like I said, it's going to take a lot of people to help me. This is not going to be an individual project by any means. And I invite any of you at this point to involve yourself in whatever way you would like. I will take anything I can get. I'd love to pay y'all. I'd love to give you everything in my world, but obviously we know that's not possible right now. But, I do appreciate everybody that helps me and gives me opportunities, especially like you guys as well, in speaking and coming back to speak again about the book. Because the book has changed a little bit. The story has not changed. The intentions changed. The first part's changed, and then the back. So please check it out on, you can find me on Facebook. If you just go to the www.facebook.com/Scardust, you will find me. If you can like the page, get everybody you can in your contacts to like the page, then we can make this all start to happen. So I appreciate all of you being here today. I'm glad that you're blessed enough to breathe well enough and have the health to come here today. And I'm glad that I was too. And I didn't quite run out of breath, so we're good. But thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Oh, of course I have to plug it. I have the book here if you all want to purchase a copy.